The city of Stockholm, Sweden has been active in environmental issues for a long time. With a combination of tough regulations and persistent commitment to new technology and market solutions, the city has now been named by the European Commission as the first green capital of Europe for 2010.
Being appointed as the first green capital of Europe is of great importance for Stockholm, and it's a good acknowledgement for what we've been doing for quite a long time in Stockholm.
The European Commission has stated a long list of measures that the city has taken to justify the Green Capital Award. For example, the city has an integrated management system that ensures environmental issues are included in the city's budget, operational planning, reporting and monitoring.
Being concerned of the environment in Stockholm is not something that concerns only one part of the city. It concerns all the civil servants in the city and all the different parts of the city, companies. And this is one reason why we got the award. Everyone has to be integrated and part of the environmental work.
Well, we are of course very happy and proud of this award. To us it's a receipt on what we have done for decades in Stockholm. Everything from the first water treatment plan in the 1920s, the introducing of district heating in 1950s, the struggle to get better traffic flow and the congestion charge project, our work for 2 decades to introduce environmentally friendly cars in the city. And all this is now a result that rewarded us a European award as the first green capital in Europe.
Pioneering congestion charging system has reduced car use, increased use of public transport and reduced emissions, and the city can boast a 25% reduction in per capita CO2 emissions since 1990, bringing the emissions to about half the national Swedish average.
The congestion charge scheme in Stockholm have reduced the traffic in and out from the zone with a little bit more than 20%. And we know that the emissions have, and in the central part of Stockholm, has reduced with about 10 to 14%. We have better air quality, and that has an impact in the whole region actually of Stockholm.
Some 90% of the population live less than 300 meters away from green areas that improve the local quality of life, bringing recreation, water purification, noise reduction and an enhancement of biodiversity and ecology. Stockholm's success in improving the urban environment can also be attributed to the many companies within clean tech committed to working closely with the City of Stockholm to ongoing and ambitious goals for further environmental improvement and sustainable development.
The business community has worked closely with the city for 30-40 years in trying to develop new technologies in order to reduce the environmental impact in the city. Examples of this is the district heating network, the district cooling network, also the biogas project where the sewage sludge from the sewage water is being used to produce biogas, which is now used for the transportation system and for some households for cooking stoves in certain areas of the city. NVAC is another good example of the city working closely with a company to develop and make use of new technology. The NVAC underground waste collection concept is quite simple. It works like a huge vacuum cleaner, sucking the waste underground and ends up in a collection station.
I'm glad that I'm living in the city, which has been mentioned as environment city.
Sweden is an interesting country for sustainability and to green questions, I think.
I think it's a good nomination for Stockholm and, well, something to be proud of.
It represents the ways the Swedish way of environmental thinking. So I see it as more of a symbolic prize for Stockholm and more something to do with what we're doing here in Sweden, I think.
Have you ever noticed whenever you see those stories about which people are the most contented around the globe, whenever they profile the Swedes, they always seem to be so happy and beautiful. Now there's another reason to be green with envy about the Swedes. We're told they are living green lives, showing kindness to the planet and saving a ton of energy in the process. Here is our chief environmental affairs correspondent, Ann Thompson.
Sweden's official colors are blue and yellow, but it lives green. From the citizens who can eat the fish from waterways in Stockholm to King Carl XVI Gustaf, who rules the land and drives an ethanol-powered car.
Can the rest of the world learn from Sweden?
If you're willing to, yes.
To learn, the world travels through Sweden's forest to its living green laboratory, Växjö. A city of nearly 79,000, it is a pioneer in green living, cutting its carbon emissions by 30% per person in the last 15 years while still growing its economy. The crown jewel, its power plant that once burned oil.
What does this big pile do? What is it used for?
This pile is our fuel for our district heating and electricity production in Växjö.
Wood waste goes from truck to conveyor belt to boiler. Though they need 30 times more wood waste than oil, it only costs 1/5 the price and produces near zero carbon emissions.
We think that by doing this will not increase the greenhouse effect.
Because Sweden has no oil of its own, scientists like Anders Bowden are trying to turn wood into synthetic fuel.
How long will it take before cars in Sweden can run on gasified wood?
I would say within 10 years.
In time to meet Sweden's goal to be fossil fuel free by 2020.
But even here in Europe's greenest city, some ways of life are much harder to change, like trying to convince people to ride on 2 wheels instead of 4.
Mayor Bo Frank thinks he knows how.
You need the whip and the carrot. The whip is to make it more expensive to use fossils, and the carrot to make it more inexpensive to use alternatives.
Alternatives like the fuel made from organic waste that powers this train.
Why are Swedes so open to the idea of renewable fuel?
We love the nature. We love what we have around us.
Even in Stockholm, green works. To reduce traffic, Swedes pay to drive in the business district. A 3-mile pedestrian mall runs through the heart of the city. Here, it is a way of life, even at the Royal Palace.
We are not a perfect, but we can exchange knowledge and experience and technique.
Creating, perhaps, Sweden's most important export, real-world ways to live green.
Unbeatable biofuel.
Ann Thompson, NBC News, Stockholm.